Hello, everyone. Good evening. Welcome to this special session on discovering self with Dr. Nikhil Sikri. Welcome, Dr. Sikri, on this episode of Discovering Self.
Thank you.
Before I introduce the guest and take start the conversation, let me welcome all the participants. I have taken a look at the registration list, and I can see that there are students, there are professionals, both in equal measure, who will be joining us for this session. So, welcome to everybody who is joining us. My name is Navneet Sharma. I am dean at the IFIM Business School at Vijayabhumi University, and with me today, I have Dr. Nikhil Sikri, who has very distinguished, very special credentials. Dr. Sikri pursued his MBBS, the medical degree from AIMS, and thereafter a management degree at the famous ISP Hyderabad. Dr. Nikhil Sikri has over 10 years of diverse experience in startup management consulting, establishing company sales footprint in medicine. Prior to embarking on his startup journey, he has worked as a resident doctor at AIMS Delhi, followed by working as a psychiatrist at the Institute of Mental Health, Singapore. Post MBA, he then went on to work as a management consultant with Deloitte and Cerner Corporation. From his work, I can tell you that he is a visionary who believes in breaking norms and settling new benchmarks, setting new benchmarks and unsettling the existing ones. He has been a driving force behind a famous company called Zolo. He has been actively involved in all aspects of building this business, and his role as a CEO is instrumental in setting strategies and providing invaluable entrepreneurship, entrepreneurial leadership. And we're going to today converse with him how he has not only changed the substantive areas of study, but the way he has pursued his work as well. Under his guidance, Zolo has grown to become India's largest co living brand within a short span of 3 years. His friends tell me that he is humble, humorous, and articulate, which I vouch. He is indeed a people's person. He has always been passionate about making a direct impact on people's life, an ethos that was ingrained in him during his time in medicine. He also understands and appreciates the importance of technology. He has played the role of a product manager at Zolo for a long while now. He possesses the nuanced ability to identify problems that may seem innocuous and nip them in the bud before they turn insurmountable. And many of you will agree with me that that special quality can help any business ecosystem stabilize much earlier before you really invite and start addressing a number of troubles. He believes that unique ideas are developed and realized only when one is open to experimentation. With his current venture, he aims to redefine the living experience for individuals. While he's not working, he likes to read nonfiction, books, watch movies, and play badminton. To all of you who have joined in this conversation, I would encourage you to please write your questions, observations, reflections, whatever you have in your mind in the chat box. I shall, as the host of this session, continue to look at the chat. We'll bring your conversation in. But before you write, those of you who are still joining us, my name is Navneet Sharma. I'm here with Dr. Nikhil Sikri. Dr. Sikri, tell me first question to you: How, what exactly has been the journey of self discovery to you? What does it mean to you?
I think for me, this is in some sense summary of my life. That I have been on path of self-discovery for a very long while. I would say last 5 years of entrepreneurship, I finally feel that I'm home. And rest 30 years of my life were basically a journey of self-discovery. So I think self-discovery, even today, I wouldn't say it stopped. It's on different dimension now. Professionally, at least, I feel, I believe that I'm home. But in other areas of spirituality, other areas of knowing yourself, truly understanding who you are, what you are made of, I think that journey of self discovery is still going on. And I don't think it'll end ever, because that's the design of self discovery. One question ends, another starts.
But can I say that, I mean, so one thing is clear from your answer, that it's more of a journey, less of a question of finding out or figuring out a destination. But how does it trigger? I mean, for in your personal case, when and how it was triggered?
I think triggers can be of various shapes and forms for different people at different time and different age and different places. For me, and that a lot depends on what do you really believe in. What's your core belief system about life, about world? Like I was raised by my parents, by my mother and father, with a very clear, simple set of rules. Respect people, respect yourself, do what you enjoy, otherwise, don't do it, it's not worth it. Uh, uh, like my mom used to always say, son, it matters where you reach, not when you reach. If it takes you 10 more years to do something that you really want to, who cares? No one's going to ask. Like my mom has 4 degrees. She has one BSc, one MBBS, one MD, two MD, and she's known as the last degree, which is dermatology. The last MD she did. She's like, I did my last degree at 46. uh, who cares? Everybody says you're a skin doctor. So prima facie, I think, for me, that principle of uh, not compromising about what you really want to do as a core ecosystem was always there. So the journey triggered itself when I realized that I wasn't really thoroughly enjoying medicine. Now I had two choices with me. Choice number one, that oh, you've gotten to aims, and it's a big deal, and don't walk out. You'll be stupid. I used to make in Indian currency, if I say 60, 70 lakh rupees when I was 23, not even 23, lesser than that. So I mean, that one choice was that you do keep making money or keep following this path, and the other choice was that you got to, it's a trade off. Like nothing in life is free. There's always a cost. You got to do something, you got to pay a cost. You got to follow money, you got to pay a cost. You got to follow what your calling is, you got to pay a cost. And everything has a cost. There is, I mean, I'll be like sort of trivializing the affair if I say there are no costs. So at that point of time, I had to take a call that look, either I can go into the realm of unknown and pay some costs, which is my settled career. But there is a chance that I might find something. Again, there is a chance. At that point of time, I also didn't know that this is exactly what I will feel as my calling. But there's a chance, and then there's always a fear as well. I think, again, whoever says that they never had fear in their mind is lying. I have yet to meet a great man or whoever who didn't have a fear. It's just that you go ahead of your fear because of something you believe in. And what I believed in was that I am not going to live my life not enjoying something. I hate looking at watch at 5 p.m. And that's what I was doing. I used to look at 5 p.m. time to go home. And this is something I've always hated my entire life. And that's, I think, how the trigger started, from that core value system of doing something that you feel is worth doing, it that you feel is you are aligned to, not what society feels is great. Because what I was doing technically, that's like societal dream, doctor and dollar. that's a that's a societal dream in some sense, but I cannot live society's dream. I got to live my life, and I got to pay the cost. And the biggest cost was money, was actually lesser of the cost at that point of time, because I knew something I'll do here, some money will come. The bigger cost was societal pressures. Uh, People traveled, I'm not kidding you, people traveled from hundreds of kilometers to tell me, Nikhil, you are mad. Just to tell me that, and they went back. uh, so So, but that's okay. I mean, every time somebody used to do this, I used to feel even more motivated. And now to I'm pakka doing.
Right, right.
I'm not gonna live your dream, dude. I mean, I'm not gonna live your dream. I'm gonna find out on my own. I don't know what's my dream is. So they used to ask me, क्या करोगे फिर तुम मेडिसिन छोड़ के? I was like, how do I know? मतलब मुझे क्या पता? मैं भगवान हूँ, मुझे थोड़ा पता आगे क्या करूँगा मैं. I mean, we'll see where life takes me. But what I know for sure, what I personally call it process of elimination, what I know for sure कि ये नहीं करना है मुझे. This is I'm sure about, and I've given 5 years. I haven't concluded in one day. I have given good 5 years to it, and this is what I'm sure of. Rest I'm completely unsure, and I'm totally okay to accept that. I'm okay to sort of say that I don't know, and we will see. I believe in faith. I have faith in God, karma, God, whatever you want to call it. I believe somewhere it will take me good, and that's all the trigger was. That faith in gut or karma or God, and belief system of not living someone else's dream and life, trying to live your own life.
So, Dr. Sikri, I understand that your this kind of clarity came in your mind that medicine was not your calling. You were approximately 22 or 23 years old. That's when you figured out very clearly that medicine is certainly not what you would like to do rest of your life. So there are some students also, school students, let's say, if I bring that perspective in our conversation, somebody who is studying in, let's say, in 10th grade or 12th grade or whatever, right? At that stage, what can be your have you because we will come back to your journey and your discovery, but I want to bring this question from the perspective of a student that at that age, how can this process of elimination be triggered so that even if you don't discover exactly what you wish to do, if you figure out 10 things which you don't want to do, that itself will be a great help. So, how can one achieve that?
Actually, in early career, it's even more simpler. I hated biology when I was in 11th and 12th. It was very clear to me. But given the fact that my parents taught me that, look, if you're doing something, then you're doing it with all your heart. So I sort of, I mean, excelled at my exams, and I was ranked 4 at one point of time. Uh, but that was a different belief system. But I was very clear I hated biology. And in fact, I reached aims because of physics and chemistry. My CBSE, I think chemistry marks were some 196 out of 200. Physics was I think 180 or something, and biology was 325 out of 400. Uh, so I was quite not a very bright star of biology even to begin with. That was my other subjects that sort of covered for that weakness. So I think at school level, it's even clearer. I was never so clear in my life that what I don't like as I was at my school time. So there are some subjects that really appeal you and some don't. Don't get trapped into fears of what will happen. Will you get food? Will you get job? Lot of trusted people will come and tell you life to सिर्फ computer science में ही है, everything is bullshit, and life यहाँ है, life वहाँ है. And all of this is false. There is always a job for one man in the world. There is always a job for one person in this world. And if you are good at something, आपको वो मिल जाएगा. I
Right.
mean, one of Sneha's friends bakes cakes, and she bakes like perhaps one of the best cakes we've ever seen, designer cakes. And the money she makes is 10 times my doctor friends from Ames make. Because each cake is worth 6,000 bucks. So in a day, she earns up to like 50,000 to 1 lakh rupees just making cakes. Uh, so, so prima facie, do not just listen to things like ये job में इस field में future है. There are no field futures. You create your own future, and there is always future for one person in this world. One person has future, and one job for one person exists if you're good at it.
Right, right. So coming back to the process of self-discovery, then let us touch the immediate surroundings one has. For instance, at home you have parents or siblings, and at school you have teachers, and then you also have your friends in your peer group who are constantly influencing this thought process, right? So let's start at home. What was your experience with your parents? You have already told that how your mother influenced your thought process, but give us a little more about it. How it either helped or it suboptimally helped you to pursue your dream
Oh,
of leaving medicine.
oh yeah, not subliminally. I would say on a very obvious note. I was blessed to have parents who understand. Uh, like my mom told me not to become a doctor. When it was 11th and I said I'm gonna choose medicine, she's like, dude, but you're not the kind of person who becomes a doctor. And I'm like, why you think I can crack some exams? She's like, no, 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 that you will crack. That's a separate problem to solve. But as a personality, doctors are supposed to not look left, not look right. They're supposed to follow evidence and protocol. And you are just like, and I was 14 then, so I was youngest in the class. So you're just 14 and you ask 500 questions. You will make yourself mad in medicine and your professors mad and everybody mad around you. So she actually told me that you're not cut out for this field. Your persona or your personality doesn't match the persona that a doctor ought to. And I gave her some five very idiotic reasons. She still teases me. आपने तो पांच reason दिए थे ना तब. So, but the best part, I think, what I have loved about my parents is that they've never interfered. When I said I want to be a doctor, they said, so be it. You try it out, you see. And when I said I don't want to be one, my parents were like, okay, your call. I mean, in the end, it's your life. Why should we try to dictate your life? And I think I was lucky and blessed, truly blessed to have parents who understand the fact and appreciate and encourage that. Look, so I mean, these are some different things that you, as I said, what you value, right? So one of the things that was always valued at our home was peace of mind, happiness. I told you, right? My mom has 4 degrees. My dad was head of district, a doctor who was like head of district, but we still, but we never, my parents never did private practice and all that stuff. So money was not a priority ever. So the priority was other things. So when you get this kind of a ecosystem or thought process around you, a lot of difficult things in life, seemingly difficult things in life, become very easy. So I wouldn't even say subliminally my parents influenced me. I would say that there was a very strong and active role that, I mean, not active really. It's like job of government is to not do business. Similarly, the job of parents is to not decide what the child will do. So their active role was to not be active. So that was the best role. They never interfered. They never bothered what I am doing, what I'm not doing. The only thing they asked was a very simple thing: respect yourself, respect us, respect people. Don't be a bad human being, and rest of the things will take care.
In fact, being silent, at least in our country, you will agree that that's tremendous wisdom. To let your children do what one wishes to do is tremendous wisdom. To be silent, where most parents feel like very actively voicing their opinion, is my assessment is that your parents were tremendously helpful in being silent and letting you pursue your journey.
Yeah, yeah.
So
So it's exactly like as I said. No, government should not. The only role government should play in business is to not do business. The only role parents should play in career of the child is to not decide it. That's all the role parents should play in career of the child.
how about school? What was the school like, and how it helped or did not help you?
Schooling was a very different experience for me. I was a very below mediocre sort of a child. In fact, I flunked seventh grade partially. So I flunked one subject, and then my parents had to sort of convince the school that it's only one subject. Why do you want him to waste 1 year and all? So because I never enjoyed my problem is same. You can sort of see the pattern in the problem. I used to similarly go and ask questions. Why should I study history? How do I care? What did Akbar say to Birbal, or what did Babur say to whom? Why should I care? Give me an answer and I'll study. I'm telling you I'll study if you give me an answer. But I think our schooling system is very weak on why. Uh, our schooling system is extensively elaborate on what you need to know, how much you need to know, what is good, what is not good, etc., etc. But the whys are fairly missing from our educational system, and somehow I couldn't gel well with our entire educational system till 10th, because I never could get a why out of anyone. That why are we doing all this? And thus I was mostly into sports. I used to just keep playing for the most part. Where I think the change happened was 11th and 12th. But I was always inclined toward books. Books were my love to begin with, even when I was a average student, so to say. So I was well read, but not well scored. So I would read a lot of different kinds of books. So I was well read individual, but really very bad scorer. By 11th, I think life turned around for me. I asked people that what should I study, and they said whatever you want. And I was like, "Are you sure?" And the world was like, "Yeah, yeah, that's how it has to work now." So you have to decide which subject you want. So you have to decide how much you want to push yourself, etc., etc. And that felt liberating. And I didn't have any why questions, because what I didn't want to study, I didn't study. What I wanted to study, I studied. So that once those challenges got over, then yeah, I mean, from a very averageish child till class 7, 8, 9, 10, to somebody on a score level, I'm saying I'm still the same individual. I mean, it's just, I'm talking about society's labels. I'm not talking about my own assessment of worth. From a averageish child by society to a star by society, it so happened. And I personally think it was unfair before, it was unfair after, because after that it's too much of pressure. Oh, you are so intelligent, before that you are so idiot. And you feel that, dude, what are you doing? Make up your mind. So that's how the journey went in school. I mean, I was not a big fan of school. Primarily the whys were missing.
And then, I hear quite frequently from young people about this peer pressure, that how it troubles them quite often. Selecting a particular subject, selecting a particular institution or university, all these decisions I see people taking out of peer pressure. So, were you bothered by things like this in your life?
Luckily, Dr. Sharma, what I got was something, there's no choice after that. Because I have not heard of a single child in last 70 years with 60 years of Ames legacy who's left Ames. So, so I think in that sense I got lucky there, that I didn't have these kind of conundrums of life. Although after getting in, then I had different conundrums that now where do I go from here? Ab aa to gaye, ab jayega. That was a different problem. But deciding on university or college, I mean, college, I just studied at Faridkot. It's a small town. So whatever Faridkot had to offer, it's a very small college. And I mostly relied on books. I mean, we had a couple of great teachers. I don't want to be ungrateful to them. There were two, three really, really brilliant teachers. And I'm like fully indebted to them for giving beautiful education. And rest was books. I used to order every kind of book that exists on the planet for that subject, and then skim through them quite aggressively, know which chapter is good written where, which chapter is good written where, and sort of make sense there.
Right, right. And then at 22, 23, when you completed your MBBS and you were into pursuing medicine for a while as a profession, and then what was that point where you decided to do an MBA from ISB Hyderabad?
Uh, so it's a journey. It was really not a point, it was a range of time. So I sort of decided during my internship itself, 2006, 5, 6, I decided I'm not going to continue. But I just didn't want to rush, because it's not a trivial decision. Whatever I had was a comfortable spot. So I didn't want to rush into it. So I tried different things on the way. I tried learning trading. So there are courses in trading called market technical analyst. So I did that. In fact, I paid a lot of my ISB fee through my trading profits. I got interested in finance as a domain when I started learning trading. I did CFA level 1, level 2. There is another charter called LIFA. I did level 1, 2, 3 all. Then I realized that no, finance is very similar to medicine. And as I said, I don't believe in throwing good money after bad. if I've done something and I feel it's not the right thing, there's no point of continuing. So then, just because I had some charters done in finance, I didn't want to like go to finance per se. So I realized finance is out, medicine is out. Now, what is in? I had no clue. Trading was also more or less out. It was too stressful. I remember losing $130. I mean, it was my money, so even $100 used to pinch. Like if you're a trader at Goldman Sachs, you can lose 100,000 and you'll be like, "I'll make back tomorrow, and I'll cover for the quarter." But if your own money, $100 also pinch. So I went to eat. My friend was bugging me, chal chal chal, and I was like, okay, let's go. And I forgot to close my positions. And when I came back, I realized, oops, 130 gone, and it cannot be recovered. My stop loss is triggered. I knew that I should have closed that position, and my intuition was telling me. So anyway, trading I didn't want to go because not that I didn't like it. It was just too stressful. uh, so I then at least I had a couple of things I knew I don't want to do. So then I thought that I think MBA would be a good way for a doctor at least to get exposed to different domains. So I'll be able to then again eliminate a couple of things here and there, and then probably I'll find something which works for me. So I never knew. I never knew this is exactly what I'm gonna do, but I just started going through the journey and started sort of realizing that this is not, and at the core all the time there was just one or two pillars that I want to solve complex intellectual problems. This is something I enjoy, and wherever I can get that, I'll be happy. And in that process, it just kept running of elimination. And 5 years back, I think, actually, technically 7 years back, I found what I truly enjoy, that's entrepreneurship.
In the meantime, let me pick up a question from Manthan Kumar, and who is studying in sixth year in the medicine, studying in China. And I think due to the pandemic situation, he had to come back to India in January. I had only 4 months of internship period to finish, but it is not going to finish. He has great interest in doing business, something which he likes to do. He's confused that will it be appropriate to pursue business after a medical degree? I'm worried how to deal with people. That's one anxiety. And of course, general confusion is there. To Manthan, of course, the whole point of having this conversation with Dr. Sikri itself establishes the point that business after medicine is is not sin, to say little jocularly. But let me seek Dr. Sikri's opinion on this. That somebody who is into penultimate year of medicine in China and wish to do medicine. Uh, I mean, your life itself is an example, but I think if you use a few words, it will be helpful to Manthan.
Sure, Dr. Sharma. So, my humble suggestion will be finish the course for sure. You've given six. Don't like I spent 5 years just coming out of medicine. Don't rush into anything. Life is long. It's not gonna go anywhere. Life is very long, 70, 80 years, and by the time, I mean, we all will be old. Our generation, there will be some biotech advancement. It will add 10, 15 years more, I'm guessing. So life is long. There is no rush. So finish that for sure. Do not close it without it. Once you come back, then you see if business is something. There are a lot of good universities, a lot of good places which will help you self-discover. I think Mathrubhumi is
Vijay Bhumi.
sorry, Vijay Bhumi. Some words, uh, some words have more natural inclination to you. So Vijay Bhumi is one of the examples which allows you to sort of discover. So I think once you finish this, come and see, discover. There is no rush to. There is no pivotal point of this is what I'm gonna do with my life. I think very rarely people get there because they don't get there. People get tired and then say, okay, then they look up to society and say, what do you want me to do? So very rarely we ever get an answer. This is exactly what I want to do, and this is a journey. It takes time. For me, it took almost 5, 6 years, and just the journey itself. So it takes time. So Manthan, please finish that. Come back, look at it. There are different things in life you can do.
And then there is one more question. I think now people are getting into the conversation. There's a question from similar question from Anil C. He's a final year Medico. Can you tell me how you prepared to start business while you were doing your PG? I think this. I'm not sure whether Anil sees PG is a medical PG or a business PG. What you did, but nevertheless, I think you can consider both the scenarios and answer this.
While I was in my medical studies, I never decided to do a business. As I said, I was quite clueless. So I was just exploring different avenues. After MBA, I sort of started getting convinced that, uh, especially after consulting, because consulting, the concept of consulting, I fell in love with. Out of all the departments or the fields in business, I understood which I could be appealed to. Consulting and entrepreneurship were the two that felt like complex, felt aggressive, felt agile. When I went into consulting, I realized nope, it looked much beautiful from outside than it is from inside. So at that point of time, I think I sort of decided to start looking at business ideas, and then there was one small idea. We made an app. Then there was another small idea. So Zolo is technically, like, if I include very tiny ventures, Zolo is the seventh venture or so. But if I include major ventures, then it's a third venture.
Before we come to your entrepreneurial journey, I still want you to throw some light on the initial career as a professional. So, when you were still pursuing medicine or your consulting career, what was the kind of thought process, how satisfying it was, and how the process of elimination was still going on, even at that level? Give us a peep into that those years, those couple of years when you were still rejecting ideas. No, this is still not fully satisfying.
Uh, it's very frustrating at that point of time, to be very frank. It's not a great feeling, uh, because you know that you're getting somewhere, but you're not there yet, uh, and it's frustrating. It takes toll. It pushes you a lot of times to say that why don't I just go back to what I was doing. uh, but at that point of time, you got to stick with it. You got, again, as I said, it's the strength of your core belief that matters. My core belief was that, look, I am not going to do something that I don't enjoy. I'm not gonna live 100 times in my life. I'm gonna live once or twice. I mean, twice I'm just assuming as biotech revolutions, but I'm technically gonna live only once. So in that one life, I am not going to compromise. So that was just the phase, but that time is not very glorious. Like, it's not romantic. It's not glamorous. It's not, wow, I am on my discovery journey. No, no, no. It's only good in the hindsight. In the hindsight, it's beautiful. In the hindsight, when you think about it, you feel happy and proud that you went through that process, through that valley of fire. But while you are through that, it's very frustrating, very annoying, and very energy draining, and it keeps pushing you to give up.
Yeah. So, and then there is a question I can see from Samya Chaudhary. What was the trigger for this startup, and why did you believe the startup word is better than medicine, finance, or trading?
So I don't say any world is better than any other world. It's what appeals to you.
Hmm.
All worlds are good. World of education is great. World of finance is great. World of mining is great. All worlds are good. There is no world superior than others. It's just a function of what really works for you. What
Hmm.
really gets your creative juices flowing, what really gets your energy moving, what really makes you excited getting up in the morning, what really pushes you on things that you like, as I said, I really like to solve complicated, challenging problems, and that's why I used to love physics and chemistry and not so much of biology. That's why I love entrepreneurship more than a job, because every day you get up and then you feel, what the hell, man? How are we gonna live through another 2 months? Uh, So there is no world which is superior or inferior. All worlds are equally good. All worlds are beautiful. It's just that can you see the beauty in it? And if you can, that's yours. So I couldn't unfortunately see beauty in medicine. A lot of my friends are very happy. So they could see beauty in medicine. So I would not ever, in my remotest of the phrases or allusion, I will say medicine is bad. Medicine is a very noble and a beautiful profession. I just wasn't a right fit for that.
So I think it's more of a question of the fit, where your mind enjoys being, where your creative juices start flowing, where your real performance, superior performance start coming. I think that these are some things to be watched out by anybody who is on the path of self journey. Is that what our audience should understand from your experience?
Yeah, I have a very simple test for it. The day you are looking at time, the day you are counting how many hours have you studied, how many hours have you worked, something is wrong. If you can't, if time cannot stop for you, something is wrong. And I fundamentally believe that whatever I do, I want the time to stop. I don't want to do things where time is something that I am measuring. How many hours have I worked? How many minutes have I given, or whatever?
Hmm.
So it's a very simple test. I have a very simple test. If I am looking
Right.
at the clock, something is wrong with my life. And that's about it. I like these days I never look at a clock ever. I work some days till 5 a.m. Some days I'll not start my work till 12 p.m. And I'll be like, I'll start, yeah, it's okay. So I have no concept of clock these days, and it's been 7 years, 5 years in Zolo, and 2 years before, 1.5 years before. So 5 years at least Zolo, I can proudly say that I have never looked at a clock, and that's a very simple test for me. That if you have to look at a clock, something wrong with your life, and figure out what is that something. I don't know, but that's something deserves attention, because if you're not in the zone, if you're not really flowing freely with life, if you're not in a work-life harmony, then there's something wrong. And that wrong could be your profession itself. Wrong could be your people. Sometimes you're in the right zone, right area, right profession, but people are wrong. Like if you join a startup and you somehow happen to be surrounded by, or startup or any company for that matter, surrounded by negative people or wrong people who are always complaining or always whiny, and they will make you feel whiny creature. Then you got to change people maybe. I don't know what is wrong, but if you're looking at a clock, something is wrong.
So start examining at that point. That's
Yep.
the short advice here. So let's come to now your entrepreneurial journey when you started, and let's break it in two pieces: pre-Zolo and post-Zolo. So in pre-Zolo months, what was happening, and were those anxious months? And if yes, how did you deal with that kind of anxiety?
No, in pre-Zolo, we were actually doing one educational venture. Yeah, I gave almost. I'm very passionate about education. As I said, I have moved from the side of society where society used to call you a idiot or an average guy, to where society called you a intelligent person. And that feelings was not very cool. So I always wanted to sort of build a product or something where teaching people how to learn, because my hypothesis is most people don't know how to learn. So thus learning itself is such a challenging piece. Thus growth and evolution and everything sort of follows after that. It's like the first domino, because now learning has fallen, now everything else will fall. So we had actually built a beautiful product called Ogbrain, which was about how to learn. But unfortunately, there were no takers in the Indian ecosystem. I didn't want to go outside India. We had some takers in US. So we just had to shut it down. And by then, it was our multiple failure node. So we were used to failure then. By then it was like, yeah, hota hai yaar, it's okay. Things happen.
But having made two major uh, changes in your career by then, leaving medicine and then also leaving settle, I mean, if not settle, a management consultant's career, and then getting into startup, did it bring any degree of anxiety, any degree of worries, any degree of uncertainties which were difficult to meet with?
No, they did a lot, not just any, but they were not difficult, and I'll tell you why. For example, my brother Akhil, who's my co-founder as well, he had only 300 rupees left in a bank total. So, and I'll give you his credentials, and you will understand how it is even weirder. He is a IIT Delhi computer science graduate. Worked with one of the world's best companies for 5 years. And after 1.5 years of entrepreneurship, he had 300 rupees because we went bankrupt. Literally bankrupt. When you say penniless, it's literally penniless. There are not just uncertainties. You will actually end up staring into oblivion. But was it difficult or was it very stressful? No, because the thing is, what was more stressful was on the other side. I knew कि नहीं हो पाएगा मुझसे. I knew that here I'll at the worst that will happen to me is I'll sleep hungry, right? That's the worst that can happen to me. That also I knew कि नहीं होगा. My parents are there. They will give me some money to eat food, yaar. I mean, I knew that at the end of the day, I will not die hungry. I will not die. I will survive. Uh, and what I'm doing, I'm enjoying. So these are the two things that I wanted from life: to live, to be alive, and to do what I enjoy. And I knew that if I flip to the other side, I'm not gonna enjoy what I'm doing, and alive anyway. I'm gonna be. Then it's just a question of bank account that can be tackled. Yeah, that's okay. It's not a big deal. So,
Right.
lot of uncertainty, lot of worries, lot of financial bankruptcy. But was it stressful? Not really, because as I said, it's what you want from life. Everything has a cost. Everything has a cost. And cost of entrepreneurship is uncertainty and bankruptcy. So you got to be comfortable before you say this is what I'm gonna be.
Right. And then Zolo happened. So how and when Zolo's idea came to your mind and you thought that this is the idea to pursue?
So we were, because we had multiple failed ventures by then. So so we realized that ideas have very limited meaning. Every person has idea. So like if you do a survey amongst your students, you will get 5,000 ideas.
Correct.
So by then we were seasoned enough, mature entrepreneurs to know ideas are of very limited value. So what is of more value is what are you going to execute? How are you going to execute? How are the market dynamics? What is the competitive landscape? Does it really align to your core value system? Whatever the opportunities out there. So by the time we reached Zolo, we were not thinking like rookie entrepreneurs. I have an idea, I'll do this. Versus where is the opportunity that I can solve? So we did a good amount of research for 2 months, came up with multiple business models, saw this as a beautiful opportunity. So living market as an ecosystem is a $20 billion market with zero large player. And existing $20 billion. It's not even that I have to create a market. I just need to organize it. So when we saw the opportunity that it's such a wide vacant market ready to be organized, the only question we had to ask, because all business ticks were done, the only question we had to ask was, do we believe that this is worthy? And then we felt that if we are going to improve so many hundreds and hundreds of lives, it is worthy. And that's how Zolo came into being. And then since we had gotten all our basic business parameters right, we were lucky to got funded, and everything happened very quick in quick succession.
Give us also, because in the audience there are young students like Akash Korea who is asking uh, to pursue. Basically, I think if I've understood his question correctly, he wants to pursue. He is a medical student and wishes to pursue medicine, but more, I think, more inclined towards practice. That's his question. But coming back to the entrepreneurial side, how can an entrepreneurial how can a sweet spot is identified, and how then you take it to the VCs or other financiers, and then give us a couple of good practical ideas which our audience can take back from you.
So I think I'll first remove one of the biggest misconception about funding. VCs don't fund ideas; they fund people. So when you go
Very
out
important.
to raise money, the process doesn't start when you started the idea 20 days back. The process started 25 years back. VCs want to see, just like any job interview, you can imagine, right? If a job guy looks at your bloody goddamn resume and everything and then gives you a job and then salary, this guy is literally giving you crores of rupees and saying, look, I don't know, dude, you do whatever you want to do. So he is not gonna give this without being convinced on your ability to do whatever you have set your mind on. So process of funding starts invariably 3 to 5 years before you actually raise funding,
Hmm.
or even 10 years, because you got to be able to convince somebody, right? Like if I come to you for money and I have never done anything good in my life, I started 5 things, then I left it, then I've always remained confused in life or whatever. I've always positioned myself as a victim of the surroundings. That what can I do? My parents did this. What can I do? My teacher did this. What can I do? My boss did this. Will you actually give me like 10 crores and say, go, Nikhil, do something? But if you can see in my life that this person can do things which he sets his mind on, then you're comfortable. You're like, "Ki, theek hai yaar, the odds of him failing I know are there." But in past, like that mutual fund ad, no? Uh, Although not ad says that past performance is not an indicator of future, but in reality, past performance is a great indicator of future. So VCs don't bet on ideas so much. They do like to understand the market and what is the total potential and landscape and dynamic. And that's a 1 hour discussion or 2 hours discussion for its own. But I would, for in the interest of time and so that to not take a lot of it, I would say that ideas come later, people come first. And if you don't have a track record of delivering great results, either in your current venture or in something in the past, somewhere you should have a track record of delivering great results. And I'm not trying to say whoever has not delivered should now lose hope. You can do a venture now, and for 1 or 2 years you can deliver some good result, and then VCs will come.
Right, right. And then the process of, setting up an organization, that's an entirely different ball game. Recruiting people and organizing the entire production, whatever you are into, it doesn't matter. But there is something to be said about the production process, and people may or may not have a lot of execution abilities. How do you really organize that? I think something on that will be tremendously helpful to our audience.
Yep. So, I mean, technically, again on this topic, I can go for 100 hours, but I'm just not, that's why I'm struggling to shrink it. So, if you look at pillars of the organization, you can, in the simplest fashion, there are 3 pillars: people, capital, and priorities. So, as a core leadership team, you got to ensure your people are happy, they are challenged, they have a meaning to their life, they constantly evolve and they have development and accomplishment. They sort of want to do something bigger. They have dreams, and they have canvas to do all this. I mean, you can say all of it to your people, and then they don't have the canvas. Then the environment will become political. So they have the space and canvas to do all these great things that we are talking about. Then there is capital. To have capital, to be able to gather capital, whether it is from customers, whether it is from banks, whether it is from a VC or a PE, and customers. And this is the order of superiority. I think customer capital is the best capital. If customers make you profitable, nothing like it. If you're half profitable, almost there, then banks will give you money. If you're so far from that, then VCs and PEs will give you money. Uh, so 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 then you have capital, and then third is priorities. So you got to make sure your priorities are right. You're thinking through, is this the right problem to solve? Is it truly what is at the core? Because it's very easy to get lost in the noise of the world and miss out the signals. It's very easy to get lost in the noise of the world when you're running a very aggressive organization, even slow or whatever. Doesn't matter. It's very easy to get lost in the noise. We start getting finicky about random things. Why did this happen? Why did that happen? And that has no meaning in the long term sustainability or long term edge, competitive edge. that's all BS. And then, but we are wasting 9-10 hours of our life because that's our personality. It's our internal problem. It's not the right priority for the organization. So to be objectively able to stay back, not bring your ego in, all those things, and sort of decide the right priorities. I think this is the summary of building an organization. But yeah, as I said, the processes, the people, the hiring. I mean, I can go on for hundreds of hours, but I shouldn't go on for hundreds of hours.
So there is on the hiring, there is a question from Soumya Chaudhary that were you able to attract good people before funding? If yes, how?
Oh yeah, one good people I was able to attract, who I knew at that time around 27 years back, since 27 years rather. That was my brother. Uh, and as I said, he's a IIT Delhi computer science graduate. Second good person I was able to attract was my old friend from Deloitte. She's IMK gold medalist. And the three were the founders. And one good person I was able to attract was a St. Xavier's pass out in Mumbai. So a couple of good people we were able to attract. Then we were able to attract a few more. Uh, I think it just it, it it takes time and sometimes serendipity and sometimes just your conviction, because other people are also very confused. If somebody tells them, guys, this is what we're going to do, it's okay if we fail, then they say okay. That's all right, let's do that. Because if you also go and say कि पता नहीं क्या होगा, I don't know, and in those sort of conversations, then it's tough to get good people.
That's right. That's right. And then there is another question, again coming from Medico Connect Joshi. After MBBS, what qualification you have done to be an entrepreneur?
So you don't need any qualification to be an entrepreneur.
Correct.
Any means any. But MBA helped, not really for an entrepreneurial perspective so much, but to understand how this world is working. Because what you are building is an organization which is also an organization amongst hundreds of organizations, right? I mean, you're not building something which is being built for the first time. This particular idea is being worked on the first time, but an organization is not being built for the first time. So understanding the dynamics and understanding people's behavior, knowing so many different people, so that piece MBA really helped. But if you are already intuitive about it, like a lot of engineers who come from a WorkX, etc., who have intuitive because I was a doctor, so unfortunately I had very limited understanding of the business world. So it helped me to get that exposure. But for a lot of, I have seen a lot of my entrepreneur friends who are non-MBAs, just engineers, or some are just BComs, doing brilliant. I mean, there is no degree that you need, and there are some 12th dropouts also. In I don't know them personally, but I have read in different forums who are doing brilliant. So there is no degree required for entrepreneurship. It requires empathy towards customer. It requires
There's,
resilience. That's it.
there's a follow-up question by Manthan. How do you organize people so perfectly and balance it?
Uh, so as I said, there are a couple of things every human being needs. All of us need a meaning. There should be some meaning to our life. All of us need development. All of us need recognition. All of us need money. All of us need, and different people need this in different shapes and forms. All of us need challenge. All of us need feedback. All of us need channels for creativity. So when I am thinking about people management, I am basically thinking, am I providing all these opportunities to my people? Uh, Not all these. I mean, it depends on like role to role, function to function. Some people need one over other and second over other. So if that answer more or less comes out yes, I know that I'm doing a good job. When that answer comes out no, and it does very often comes out no, as I said, it's a process. Then I know that yeah, it's okay. Let's relook into it and let's build it. But the thought process is to provide these 5-6 pillars. I mean, I exactly have 8 pillars in my mind. So I have 8 pillars in my mind. I told 7, I think. in my list. Uh, I always do a check of, are these 8 pillars being met for people? And if they are met, then the people structure is good. If they're not, then it's not good. And it's a journey. It will never be always good, completely good all the time.
So you have to refine it from time to time.
Yeah, because people change, no? So different people align to different things. Some people would really appreciate meaning. Then some people would really appreciate money. Some people will really appreciate recognition. So it's not a hard structure that you put. It's basically a flexible structure you put basis the people that you got.
Right. That's right. And that brings me to the last part of the conversation where, all of it rests on one thing, that is motivation. Motivation to discover, motivation to travel, motivation to sustain the journey. All of it is motivation. And I think if you give us your way of finding that motivation, how does it come? It comes from within, or it comes from outside, or it's a combination of the two which works for you. How do you keep motivating yourself, particularly when external conditions may not be so favorable as the times we are now currently, the so-called COVID times?
I think I gave more or less the hint of this answer to this question in the core value system, that I believe whatever I'm doing, I cannot do it for the heck of it. I would rather not do it. I'm really good at wasting time. I mean, it's not funny how expert I am at it. You can put me in Dharamshala and I'll not come back for 10 years. Or I can go to Himalaya and spend time there. I'm really good at wasting time. I mean, wasting oblique just chilling. So my motivation or core incentive is to do things which I love. Uh, and when I'm doing that, as they say that if you love what you do, you'll never work a single day in life.
That's right.
So my core motivation comes from there. And if you haven't reached there, then keep looking, and that's the motivation. So motivation while looking is to keep looking so that you get there, and once you get there, then you don't need motivation. Then
Right.
it's a natural process.
Right. And I think that brings us to the close of the session today. Any closing remarks? And we have had number of questions from the audience also, which you have answered very candidly. And I must say that I love the fluidity of our conversation, with which we have been able to cover the entire journey of your self discovery and the subsequent path involving your professions and your entrepreneurial journey. Any closing remarks which you would like to make to our audience?
Yep. I'll borrow Steve Jobs' lines. Uh, if you haven't found what you love, keep looking, don't settle. That's it.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Dr. Sikri. Greatly appreciate your time, insights, all of those which you brought to this session. And I look forward to host you in person at the Vijayabhumi University sometime very soon.
Will do. Will do. Thank you,
Thank
Doctor.
you. Thank you to audience also for your participation
Thank you,
and
everyone.
great questions. Thank you, one and all. Bye
All right.
bye. Stay safe.